y'all, well, welcome back. So I promised y'all a garden update. Today we're going to do some thinning and some weeding in a special way. I'm going to give you an update on everything that's going on down here. Fingers crossed we're past the frost. We had a bunch of 40-degree days last week, but none of the nights dipped low enough for a frost. So we planted a little early this year, and it looks like we might be going to get away with it. So we've got corn everywhere, all in this bed, coming up beautiful. Cucumbers all over here. Tons of corn over there. The beans, every single one of them come up. This is gonna be my problem bed right here. We got weeds everywhere, but this is all squash and zucchini. But if you look down in here, we have some nasty weeds coming up, and look at those thorns, y'all. Believe it or not, I don't pull these by hand because those thorns go through leather gloves, gardening gloves, just about anything. So I'm gonna show you how I'm gonna take care of all these weeds. There's something about this one bed that they're just plagued with weeds. Y'all remember the potatoes we planted in another episode? Boy, did those things explode. And they're starting to get tall enough today. I think we need to throw some soil around them, because don't forget, as potatoes grow up, our potato is down in the soil about 3 inches, but we want to bring some soil up to here because you'll get little shoots, runners, roots, whatever you want to call them, that'll come off right here once we build the soil up. That's called hilling your potato, and this is the zone we'll create even more potatoes in. We'll eventually bring the soil all the way up to here and let the plant itself come out. Okra did quite well this year. Kind of struggled with it last year. And one of the big success stories of the garden thus far, look at all this corn. Only 1 or 2 little spots, a seed didn't come up, and I see 1 or 2 plants that's been ate. Maybe a rabbit or something got in the garden. If y'all been with the channel long enough, y'all know last year we have an invasive dove here called a Eurasian collared dove. It's basically a big pigeon is what it is. And we had a bunch of them show up last year and just destroy my garden. As soon as little plants would get this big, they'd come here and pull them up, especially the corn, because there's still a seed on the end of the corn, and they would eat it off. And I had to plant so many times last year. I'm only seeing just a pair of them here right now. I haven't caught them in the garden, but if I do, yeah. Supper. I'm working on another episode for y'all, but we decided to expand the garden this year. I've been tilling it up, trying to kill off the grass. I waited too late to do this, but we're going to play around this year. We decided we want to do a row of watermelons and a row of cantaloupes, even though I have cantaloupes coming up over in that bed. So this is going to be a fun episode. I'm killing this grass off for another week, and then we'll dive into that. I've actually got some electric netting fencing. We're going to put an electric fence charger out here, and I bought a motion activated sprinkler, a really good one that I think will work, because we have so many deer and other things on the property, especially raccoons. Once we get watermelons and cantaloupes out here, I better have the electric netting up and a motion sprinkler, because the critters are going to want to get that, being that we don't have the tall fence out there. So you can see I plant, for example, my okra really thick. I only like a plant about, say, every foot to even 18 inches. So what I like to do is plant really, really thick, and I'll come out here and I like to do 2 thinnings. So I'll pull that plant up, toss it to the side. This one, because this one looked really nice and healthy. And because something could come out here and cut this off or kill it, I'll leave another one right beside it. Then we'll pull everything in between. Find me another couple good healthy plants. Leave one, just repeat the process. Now I'll come out here again in a couple weeks after nothing jumped in the garden and killed my plants. As these start getting a little bigger, I'll pull, say, that one, and leave the remaining plant once I know it's big and healthy enough to defend off any kind of critter that's trying to get it. This is just a little bit of an insurance policy. But you want to go ahead and start thinning so the plants beside the other ones don't steal the nutrients. Now sometimes there's just not really much that you can do. I think you get the idea. So about every 14 to 18 inches, we'll leave a plant, because these things get huge. I'm talking, I've had them 6, 7 foot tall before, maybe even taller than that. And you'll wind up with a huge plant right here with so many okra pods on it. Oh man, this already produces more than we can eat. So let me go through here and continue to thin out these few rows. Then let's move on over to the corn, other things in the garden. The beans we definitely got to work on, and I'm excited to hill up these potatoes. Now, as for my corn, I like to leave it relatively thick. Like I say, that's a bit too close together, so I'll take this one out. Leave it good. When you have one right by the other like that, I'll go ahead and remove that. You see the little seed still left on the bottom? This is what those dove were coming and pulling up and eating last year. So that's very tight spacing, but not for a good, rich compost bed. If I was planting out in the dirt and the ground, I would be way further apart than this and have my rows much further apart. And we'll come back and side dress this with a little fertilizer later on, since all we did was top off this compost this year. But if you get way down in here, I mean, there's some pretty rich stuff. All right, the beans did extremely well. Some years I struggle with beans coming all up, but you can see I did 3 beans per spot, and it looks like every single one come up. So we'll probably do a second thin in here as well. Like I say, I'll take that plant out in between 2, leave these for a little bit. Sometimes grasshoppers or army worms will come in and kill them. Do the same thing over here, just pinch this one off since it's growing right by that other one. Move one right there. One out in between those. And then we'll come back out in a week or so. Then again, once these plants get even bigger. All right, y'all have seen me use propane weeders on the channel before. I don't like using chemicals of any kind, pesticides, herbicides, in my garden beds, potentially getting in my food. So when it comes time to treat in the bed, typically you can bend over and pull all the weeds, but if there's a lot like this, well, that wrecks your back. And these have such long thorns, again, I can't even get them with gloves. I've tried, it pokes right through. So I have a small pencil propane weeder. Y'all have seen the big one I bring out here on the dolly that I cleared all these beds with. By the way, the beds still look great from that weeding. This one shoots a much smaller flame out about this long, so this allows me to spot treat around my vegetables without potentially damaging them. Takes a 1-pound cylinder. I use refillable cylinders that I can refill off of a 20-pound tank. These are legally rated to refill. And it's got a little igniter on the end right here to ignite the flame. Now, it's really windy today, not a good day to be doing this, but you can hear the flame right there. So whenever it comes to weeds like that, all you gotta do is barely sweep over it, which the wind, let me get over here. See the way it just wilted? Done. Gotta find the direction the wind's blowing. That one's dead. That one's dead. Dead, dead. And I can work in and around my vegetable plants. You can see that's one of my vegetable plants right there. That's really all it takes. As soon as you see the leaves start moving, which means it's wilting, you have broke down the cellular structure of that weed, and it's dead. Come out in a few hours, it'll be so shriveled up, by tomorrow it's brown and gone. All right, and just like that, we got the first thinning done. We'll come back out in about another week and again, pick the healthiest of all the plants. We've got our first hilling done on the potatoes. I'm excited to see how they do in containers this year. It's my first time ever growing like this. Thus far, fingers crossed, I'm not seeing signs of ants, which typically is what gets in and wrecks my garden. Now, they probably won't show up until potatoes start putting on, but we have some natural ways we're gonna try to take care of them as well this year. All right, I'm gonna lightly water in all of this now disturbed soil. We're not gonna water too much because they're calling for torrential rains tonight and tomorrow and major storms. And they keep saying potential for a lot of hail. I certainly hope not. Nothing will wreck a garden quicker than a hailstorm. All right, thank y'all for watching. We'll catch you on the next video.